Learning about wine can be confusing, especially at the beginning. In this video, we'll discuss 10 terms that are essential for all wine enthusiasts to know. Here's term number 1, varietal. A varietal is a wine bearing the name of the principal grape from which it is produced. In most wine regions, for a wine to qualify as a varietal, it must be produced from 85% of the grape listed on the label. In the United States, that percentage is only 75%. For example, Pinot Noir, one of the world's most popular red wines, is made from black-skinned grapes that share the same name. Other examples of varietals are Chardonnay and Riesling wines. Prior to U.S. Prohibition, only Germany and those regions under German influence used varietal labeling, but after the Prohibition, winemakers in California started using varietal labeling. Soon after, this wine naming system proved popular and quickly spread to other New World wine regions like Australia and South Africa. Here's term number 2, aroma. Have you ever wondered why wine tasters spend a good 10 to 20 seconds swirling a wine glass, then sticking their nose into the glass and inhaling? It's to detect the wine's distinct aroma. Aroma is the scent produced by wine. The aromatic expression of wine can be broken down into hundreds of aromatic compounds imparted by the grape variety, the environment surrounding the vineyard, or the winemaking and aging process. When analyzing wines, professionals split flavors and aromas into 3 different categories. The first is primary aromas, which come naturally from the grapes and the natural factors in the vineyard, such as the type of soil. These can be fruity, floral, herbaceous, earthy, or spicy. Secondary aromas like nutty or buttery notes are created by the process of fermentation, which is turning grape sugars into alcohol. Tertiary aromas like vanilla, cocoa, oak, or baking spices come from aging. For example, the vanilla aroma comes from aging wine in new oak barrels. The next time you hear someone call a wine complex, know that this means the wine has displayed many aromas. Term number 3 is terroir. Terroir is a French term that loosely translates to sense of place. In winemaking, it refers to the environmental factors such as climate, topography, and soil that give a wine its unique characteristics. The idea behind terroir is quite old, dating back to the ancient Greeks who engaged in extensive winemaking. Ancient Greece had plenty of variations, with vineyards exhibiting different results even when growing the same grape variety. This caused the Greeks to label their wine jars to identify where they came from. As the Romans expanded their empire, they applied the same practice to their wine-growing regions. You can visit our website and read our post, Origins of Old Wine, to learn more about how winemaking has advanced from the days of pharaohs to the 21st century. Here's term number 4, tannins. Tannins refer to a wine's textural elements that create a dry sensation in the mouth. They are most often associated with red wine and are largely responsible for giving red wines that heavy and rich taste that they are so popular for. These tannins are naturally occurring compounds that exist inside grape skins, seeds, and stems. Red wines generally have more tannins due to undergoing longer maceration. Done at the beginning of the winemaking process, maceration often refers to the technique of cold soaking unfermented grape juice in the crushed skins, seeds, and stalks of the grape. The longer the skin, seeds, and stems soak in the juice, the more tannin characteristics they will impart. This explains why red wines have stronger tannins than white wines. Tannins can also come from the oak barrels used for many aged wines. These wood tannins are absorbed into the wine and, in the case of oak, vanilla flavors become apparent in the wine. Here's term number 5, wine appellation. If you like to read a wine label, then you may have noticed the acronyms AV or PGI on your favorite bottle. These terms are part of wine appellation, which is a quality classification system for wine based on the geographical area where the grapes are grown. The system strives to protect a wine's quality, unique characteristics, and factors related to its production and reputation. The government of a country is responsible for enforcing each appellation system, which means the classification system may vary from one region to another. In Old World, appellations were created to protect the producers. They regulate the quality, grape types, region, and to an extent, how a wine is grown, harvested, and produced. In New World wine countries, appellations were created to protect the consumer. These ensure that the bottles are labeled correctly and indicate the origins of the wine. This allows wine buyers to make a more discerning decision. Here's term number 6, sommelier. A sommelier is a wine steward, a knowledgeable professional generally found working in a fine dining establishment and trained in all aspects of wine service. While anyone who works directly with wine in a restaurant setting can call themselves a sommelier, to be a bona fide sommelier, you'll need some level of formal education, training, and experience, and not to forget a deep appreciation and passion for wine. The pinnacle of being a sommelier is passing the Level 4 sommelier exam, which earns them a Master Sommelier diploma from the Court of Master Sommeliers. There are only 269 professionals worldwide who have received this title since the first Master Sommelier diploma exam. Here's term number 7, vintage. Vintage refers to the year in which the grapes were harvested. Almost all wines show the year in which the wine was made on their labels. However, there are some wines without a vintage date. Non-vintage wine is made by blending grapes from multiple years. These include fortified and sparkling wines such as champagne. But on some rare occasions, single-year champagne can be made if the wine producer deems the year's harvest sufficiently good to produce a vintage wine. Here's term number 8, fortified wine. Vermouth and sherry have brought fortified wine into the limelight. For example, dry vermouth is commonly used in making classic cocktails such as Old Pal. But what exactly are fortified wines? By definition, fortified wine is a wine that has a distilled grape spirit added to it to increase its alcohol content, fortifying it. For example, in Portugal, it's traditional to stop fermentation early and fortify a wine by adding brandy and aging it in barrels outside under the sun for a roasted and nutty flavor. This can take 20 to 100 years to produce the finest wine. Today, fortified wines are transferred to large tanks called estufas and gently warmed up to temperatures of 113 degrees Fahrenheit during a period of 4 months using a system of hot water jackets wrapped around the tanks. After the gradual cooling of the wine in the 4th month, the wines are then left to age for 2 years in Brazilian satinwood casks. Term 9, decanting. Decanting is the act of pouring wine into a separate container, which serves 2 distinct purposes. The first is separating older wine from sediments. Older red wines naturally produce sediment as they age, as the color pigments and tannins bond together and separate. The second is aerating the wine to introduce oxygen. The presence of oxygen will open up aromas and brings out the flavor in the wine. This is especially beneficial for young full-body red wines, which can be tight or closed on the nose or palate. On the other hand, most young whites do not need decanting. The 10th term is blend. The term blend refers to wines that are made from more than one variety of grape. By blending different varieties of grapes instead of using a single variety, the winemakers are able to produce a more complex and well-rounded wine with enhanced aromas, flavors, color, and texture. Examples of blends would be champagne or pinot noir. Both reds and whites can be made from blends of varietals. Appellations generally dictate which type of wines are allowed to be blended. For example, Pinot Noir wines are not blended, but on the other hand, Pinot Noir grapes are one of the 3 main grapes used in champagne production, along with Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier. We hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to like and subscribe to see more content, as well as visiting us on CompassLongview.com. I'm Rob with Compass Longview. Thanks for watching.